All right, good evening, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started tonight. Thank you all for being here. What we're gonna do, we're gonna go quick. We're hoping to get done in about 15, 20 minutes. We're gonna go over a couple of things that should help parents for this season. We're gonna give you all time to ask questions. And then after this recording is over, we will post this for everybody who can't be here. But the purpose of this meeting is to go over some quick information and let you guys ask questions. What you'll do is when we get done with all the information, feel free, we'll type it in the chat, just type your questions in the chat and we'll go through and answer them. The only thing that we're not going to do tonight is if you have a question about your specific player. So you can't see player space, you want to see about switching teams, you want to see about the team, whatever. I won't be able to answer specific questions about your player. I'm going to be answering in the general. So if you do have a question about your player or your team specifically, if you can just shoot me an email, and everybody should have my email by now. So just shoot me an email after this is done, and we will go over it there. This will just be for general knowledge. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just an introduction. So again, if you are new to the Y, or if you have only been playing soccer with the Y for the last 2 years, you probably have not met me. My name is Jack Miller. I'm the Senior Director for the YMCA of Columbia Jeep Rogers. I'm working over our sports and facility there at Jeep. I was at the Owens Field soccer location for the last 2 years, and led the switch from SC United to YMCA soccer. And so now I'm coming back to Jeep to lead that operations full time so that you'll see me on the field this fall. Our expectations for our league, I like to have this conversation with parents as much as possible. We are a recreational league. We are not a club league or a travel league. We are here for fun. We are here for development. We are a recreational league and we are a volunteer driven league. So all of our coaches across the entire association, over 100 coaches every season, are all volunteer parents. Every single coach is a parent, every single coach volunteers, and every single coach is there for the kids. So we are a volunteer recreational facility. We do not keep stats. We do not keep scores. We are here completely for fun and development, and that's our expectation and how we will make decisions as a league. For some helpful information, just to get some dates out to you to make sure everybody's on the same page, August 14th, which is this coming Monday, is when practices start. And so if you have a 6 to 15-year-old, their practices will be one night a week. And so you should be able to see that on your player space and know what date they start and what time. All of your 6 to 7s and 8 to 9s will be at 5:30. And then the older kids, 10 to 11s and 12 to 15s, will be at 6:30. August 19th, which is a week from Saturday, is the first meeting for all of our 3 to 5-year-olds. So they will meet on the 19th for a practice for 1 hour. And then starting on the 26th, every time they meet, they will practice for the first 15 to 20 minutes and then play for the next 40 minutes against the team on their field. And we should have jerseys in for next Saturday that we will be able to get all of our 3 to 5s their jerseys on the 19th. And then the 6 and 15s will get their jerseys during practice the week of the 21st. The August 26th is our first games. So that Saturday, we'll jump into our first week of games, and then we will immediately take a week off. September 2nd, Labor Day weekend, we will not play on September 2nd, and the Y will be closed on September 4th. So we will not meet for those 3 days, and everybody will have some time off there to celebrate that holiday. And then October 21st will be our last day of games. So October 21st is the last Saturday of games for this fall. Common questions we get about equipment. So at this level, we do require shin guards for all of our players that are 6 and up. For the 3 to 5-year-olds, we don't require it. We do highly recommend that they get used to wearing them now, so that they are ready when they jump into the 6-year-old league. But 6 to 15s, it is required. We do not require cleats at any level, but we do highly recommend cleats for all ages, but it's not required. We will provide socks and a jersey for everybody, and then they will need to wear any color shorts. We do not have a requirement on the color of the shorts, so that is up to you. But they will get the socks and the shirt from us, and then they will need, they don't need a soccer ball. We will have soccer balls provided. But if you want to get a soccer ball, our 3-year-olds all the way up to our 7-year-olds play with a size 3 soccer ball. Our 8 to 9-year-olds and our 10 to 11-year-olds play with a size 4 soccer ball. And new for this year, the 12 to 15-year-olds will play with a size 5 standard soccer ball. Other than that, they really don't need anything. They can bring water, Gatorade, etc. to games, but they really don't need anything else from an equipment perspective. I am going to show really quick, when I send this email with a recording to all parents, like you got this email, I'm going to include this coupon to Dick's Sporting Goods. Sadly, there's only one Dick's Sporting Goods in Columbia now. It is the one over in Irmo, but this is 20% off this weekend at the Dick's Sporting Goods. You can take this coupon in and get 20% off your purchase of equipment through Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm going to send that and attach that in the email with a recording after this call is done. The next thing that I'm going to share is a map of our facility. So if you've never been to Jeep, this should be helpful. If you have been to Jeep, this might explain there's going to be some things that are different this year. When you walk on, so when you get to the Jeep Rogers YMCA, the athletic fields are on the opposite side from the building. So the building's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side if you're coming from Lake Carolina. Go all the way down the parking lot to the opposite end, and you'll see the athletic fields. When you walk out onto the athletic field, you will see the pavilion directly to your right. And so the practice fields for all of our 6 to 15-year-olds that are practicing on weeknights, those are going to be more on the left hand, the main side. And so you can kind of see we have practice field 1, 2, 3, and 4 and the goals that they will use. And then for the older kids, when they show up at 6:30, they will be using a full half field, if that makes sense. So full field 1, full field 2, that will be their practice field, and they will be using these bigger goals here on the sides. For the 3 to 5-year-olds, when they show up on Saturdays, you'll be playing on fields A, B, and C. The very first Saturday, you'll see fields D, E, and F because you'll be practicing on a field with a team just like you would during the season, and those goals will be labeled when you get out there. But these will be the 3 practice field or the 3 game fields for our 3 to 5-year-olds. Will be on this right hand side here. You'll notice that on this field you see the goals in white, but then you see all these silver boxes. We got a very generous donation from Invista Camden of 12 benches, aluminum benches with backings, to be able to put on our field. So every team is going to have an official bench this year. We're really excited about that. I'm really thankful to Invista. You're going to see them. They are our sponsor, so they're on the back of all of our jerseys at Jeep this season. We're really thankful for those. So as you can see, the way they're going to be set up for the 3 to 5-year-olds, we will put a bench on each side of the field so teams can sit on those benches and teams can gather around those benches for when they are there for the 3 to 5s. For the 6 to 7s and 8 to 9s, when they play, we have these benches set up. So the teams will sit on the same sideline and on each half. So if it was the red versus the blue team, the red team would sit here on this bench, the blue team would sit here on this bench. And then we would ask parents to sit away from the benches so that the kids and the coaches are on a sideline by themselves. When the 10 to 11s and 12 to 15-year-olds play, it'll be the same thing. If the red and blue team are playing, the red team would occupy this bench, the blue team would occupy this bench, and then we would have our parents on the opposite sideline from the game, and our teams would be on the same sideline. So a little bit different in the past, but you'll see those benches set out there when you come to Jeep, when you come for the games. Excited to be able to offer that for those teams and those players. The next thing we're going to share, and I know we're going through things quickly. We're going to just kind of breeze through all this information. We'll have a lot of time for questions at the end. Talking about Player Space. So everybody should have gotten the email from Player Space and should be set up in Player Space. Maybe you've played around, you've seen the app, you've gone online. I'm going to show you what the desktop side looks like and what you can see. And it's very similar to what you'll see in the app. And I'm just going to use an example team here. So this is the volleyball team. But if I went to my team's page in Player Space, I should see at the top here, we would see the name of the team. And that's going to tell me we put the coach's name in the team name. We do not put the jersey color in for soccer. So I'm sorry, this is for volleyball only, but soccer was a little more random. So I do not have the colors for that, but you will be able to see if your team needs a coach, if your team has a coach, in the name of the team, that very first name. And then you'll see, don't necessarily look at where it says coach, look at the team name, and that will tell you if it has a coach or not. And I also tell you what age division they are in. When you look at the different buttons that you have across the top, for the activity wire, it acts as a message board. So if you were to type in this activity wire, or if anybody was to type in this activity wire, it would post just to this team, similarly to like a Facebook or any messaging board. It's just going to be for that team that sees it, and it's just a big messaging board. You can also post photos and videos of your team to your team site, and you can do that through the app or through the desktop, and then that's going to be visible to just the parents of that team. The schedules would be the next big one, and this is the main part I wanted to look at. Because this will function the same whether it's on the desktop or on the app. When you look at your schedules, you're going to see it'll say practice for that team. It'll tell you what field or court they're on, and it will tell you the time that practice occurs. So 5:30 to 6:30, and on that date, Monday, August the 14th. So you'll see that for your practices. And then a game schedule would look like this. It'll have Saturday. It'll have the time the game starts to the time the game should end, and it will have the location. So this is played at Jeep Court 2 and Lake Carolina, and it'll tell you the 2 teams that are playing. So you'll see all your practices and games on the same line. If you have multiple children, it's going to show you, and sometimes it will show you to be a little confusing, it will show you everything. So you'll see all the practices and all the games in one line as they come up. You can also, if it makes it easier, click on the calendar view to see it in a little bit more of a laid out structure. of when the practices and when the games are. So that's player space. And then the other thing you'll be able to see if you do it through the online is the roster. You'll be able to reach out to the coach. You see the email button there, and that's how you'll be able to email out to the coach, and the coach will be able to email out to you. And then the last thing we're going to go over before we jump into questions is some rules. So if you, the rule book is going to be attached. We also have the rule book on our website. If you go to the YMCA of Columbia website, go to sports, go to soccer, and that rule book is there if you ever want to look at it. We're also going to attach it to the email when we send this recording out, when we send the coupon out. But I'm not going to go over every rule. Feel free to look through the rule book, but I do want to hit on these major 5 that we put in that parents should know. As far as uniforms, so players, like I said, will be required to wear shin guards in the 6 to 15s. They need to show up in shin guards. They need to show up in their YMCA uniform. And then they need to have no jewelry on. So no bracelets, no necklaces, no wristbands, no rings, no earrings. If they are going to wear a stud earring, it needs to be taped down if they're going to wear a stud. And then for casts, no hard casts will be allowed. Soft casts will be allowed, and casts that are wrapped will be allowed. For playing time, we are equal playing time. Everybody's got to play an equal amount of time. If you as a parent feel like your child is only getting a couple of minutes a game and that there's not an equal playing time, 50% playing time, please work with the coach. And if there's not a change after working with the coach, please see me. We are an equal playing time facility. For new for this year, we are going to be introducing the yellow and red cards and the cautions and ejections into the league. Now, this is going to be very laid back as a rollout. It's not going to be where we're going out there and carding kids left and right. As we are training our officials, it is more to just ensure safety of players. So any players that are recklessly playing or committing violations consistently, that we can caution them. Teams are aware that this is behavior we're not going to accept, and if we had to remove a child from the pitch, if there was just an issue of player safety. It's not going to be for, as much as possible, we're not going to card for technical issues, but we will have to bring out, cautions if we have players that are playing recklessly. And so it's an attempt to help ensure our players' safety. For handballs, where we get a lot of questions, is what's a handball? Parents or players see a ball hit a hand and they want to see a handball called. We did identify that more in the rule book and how we're teaching our officials. For the 6 to 7s, we're going to be incredibly lenient on a handball. If it hits their hand, we want to play as much as possible. At that level, it's very rarely intentional, and often stopping the play is more detrimental to the overall game. So we're going to try to play as much as possible. And then the older age groups, anytime that they bring their arms out from their body, make themselves bigger, or bring their hand toward the ball, we're going to call it handball, but we will again try to play on as much as possible in all age groups with handballs, unless it's intentional. Also new for this year, for the 6 to 7s and 8 to 9s, will be build out lines. And so there will be a line that the defense has to be behind to allow the offense to get the ball in on a goal kick or goal possession. So that's all in the rule book. Those are some new things for this year, things that we've rewritten in the rule book. I encourage you to read the rule book when we send it out. That's all that we have. One last thing I'll tackle. I know I'll get some questions if I don't. If you look on your roster and you see your team name says need a coach, we are still filling coaches. We've had multiple coaches every day that we're recruiting from parents. So I would encourage you to check back. But if you do see that your team needs a coach, that means that we are still looking for a parent to volunteer for that team. If you are interested, please reach out to me. We are really excited to be able to offer 50% discounts to coaches this year. It's something that we are starting this fall. And so all coaches will receive a 50% discount for their player if they coach. And we will, we also have specific practice plans. So if you're not sure what to do, we have really well built out practice plans for every age group that will take you through an entire season, along with videos on how to do drills, etc. So we're really excited to be able to offer all that to coaches this year, something that we've desperately needed to help out our volunteer parents. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible on all of our parents. If you are interested, please let me know. What we will do is teams that still need a coach going into their first practice, we will still meet for practice, and we will have those parents get together and meet at that first practice. And if we still cannot find a coach after meeting, then we will take a look at, do we have to, is there a need to disband this team? We just don't have anybody to lead it. And we may have to disband that team, which is what we don't want to do, and issue refunds. We'd really love to not do that. So hopefully we will be able to fill out all of our coaches over the next week. That is all that I have. Again, that's about 15 minutes, what we wanted to take for me to talk. And now we're going to go into the Q&A portion. So you have the ability, if you go to the chat button at the bottom, ask your questions, and we will take the next however much time we need to answer all the questions we can. If we cannot find a coach, and we get to a point where we've met, nobody is able to step up, we do not have a volunteer, then if we look at disbanding a team, then yes, we do issue refunds to teams that are disbanded. For practices, for any practice, really, it's just athletic wear. They're not going to have a jersey at that point. They never need to wear their jersey to practice. So I would say cleats and then just athletic wear, shorts, t-shirts, socks. They don't need to wear shin guards for practice unless their coach asks them to. But practices will be much more relaxed. So socks, athletic socks, shorts, t-shirt, bring a water bottle, bring a soccer ball if they want to, but not nearly as to the level of a game. Game schedules for Saturdays are being worked on right now. We hope to have them fully done tomorrow. It's going to follow a pretty similar timeline. The 3 to 5-year-olds have specific times. When you signed up, you knew the times. So 3-year-olds at 8:45, 4 to 5s at 10, or 4 to 5s at 11:15. The 6 to 7s will play at 8:45 or 10, and then the 8 to 9s will go at, I think, 11:15 every Saturday, and the older kids will follow, and we'll go from basically 1:15, 2:15, 3:15 for the older kids. So it's a pretty consistent schedule every Saturday, but that schedule should be out by tomorrow night for everybody. The jerseys for the 3 to 5-year-olds should be in before we meet on the 19th, and we will hand those out on the 19th. And then for the older kids, we should have them in by your second practice. So the week of August 21st, we'll have those to hand out to coaches. Coaches will receive those jerseys and then hand those out to the kids. Cleats are just the gripping material. So in soccer, where you have a lot of times where you're speeding up, you're running fast, you're changing direction, the cleats help keep your feet from slipping on the grass. And it allows you to have a little more friction with the ground. Yeah, so teams, if you are in the 6 to 15-year-old league, you will practice every week for 1 hour and then have a game on Saturday. For the 3 to 5-year-olds, you will meet once starting on the 26th. The 19th will be an entire practice, and then the 26th will be a 20-minute practice and a 40-minute game inside of that hour for the 3 to and the 4-5s. No, we understand. So we are a recreational league, and that means as parents, you have paid to play in this league. You have paid for your child to have 50% playing time and to get the experience. If you need to miss a game, understandable. There's no repercussions for you missing a game. That is obviously a decision that parents need to make. If a child is sick or if a child needs to go on vacation, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, yes, we do have policies that for weather, as far as temperatures go. I will say we're past the part of the summer where we're going to get into any heat related games. It would have to be over 100 degrees on the feels like for us to not play, and I don't think we'll get to that point. We haven't gotten close to that number in the past, and we might. And if we do, we would still follow our weather policy of canceling and moving games. Where we have had to cancel games in the past is where we have weather, right? We have storms coming through, lightning, etc. And so those games might get canceled and pushed out. So you will get player space. Good question. So if there is a practice or a game that is canceled or postponed or anything due to weather, all of those emails and notifications will come through player space from me. So if we are canceling practices, we will cancel an hour before the practice starts. So if there's so practices always start at 5:30, which means by 4:30 on a weeknight, we will have made a decision. Are we playing or are we not playing? Are we practicing or are we not practicing? And then we will email out through player space all the teams that are meeting that night. So you will know if your practices are canceled through us, through the Y. On a game day Saturday, if we have to cancel, the same thing. We will make a decision an hour before the first game. So 7:45 on Saturday, we will email out through player space. Are we playing? Are we going to start the day? And then we have to cancel. We will see. But all that communication will come through player space. So I actually can't send a schedule. If you have access to your player space account and you can see your player, then you have the schedule. So the schedules are tied into player space. So there's no way for me to actually physically send a schedule in a sense. I would just send you the link to see your player. And then you'd be able to see it. And the soccer, I don't believe any soccer schedules have been published. So aside from the one Saturday practice on the 19th. So nobody should see anything other than practices right now. And when the game schedules get published, you'll get an email with that. And it will just, you'll also just be able to see it. It'll automatically, when it gets published, it'll automatically get pushed onto your schedule. We do not provide water or Gatorade. That'll be up to players or teams to bring water or Gatorade. We do have water fountains for those that need it, but we won't have specific water or Gatorade for teams. The first game is on the 26th. Yes. For the 6 to 15s, the first game is on the 26th. And for the 3 to 5s, the first split where they'll practice and then play is on the 26th. The 3 to 5s will still meet on the 19th, but everybody plays their first game on the 26th. April, I would just reach out to me via email. I would have to look at it and see. Right now, we haven't pulled anybody off the wait list, so we'll have to see. Typically, we don't have people dropping off until after the entire first week of practice, and then some people may need to drop out, and that's when we go back and revisit the wait list. We are waiting for any other questions to come in. I do want to say I'm excited to be back here at Jeep. This is my 7th year being a sports director for the YMCA, my 5th year here in Columbia. It is my first year running soccer at Jeep, having run soccer for 3 years when we were with United and having worked to end that and to bring soccer to the Y and setting up and building our program and building it out of Owens Field. I'm really excited to now come back to Jeep after a couple of years and run this program. That being said, any expectations or things that you've seen over the last 2 years, I can't guarantee that will be the same. My expectations and what I will do will probably be a little different. So if you see something that looks a little different, it's probably intentional. And I really encourage you to reach out to me and talk to me so that we can discuss why we're doing what we're doing. Sorry, we got a lot of questions coming in, so I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So yes, Player Space has all the practices. So if you are on Player Space and you can access your child, you should be able to see all of your practices for all players. Those are all posted. If you cannot see that, shoot me an email and we'll look into it because everybody should be able to see their practices right now. The fields are not available for free play. The fields, so in theory, they're not available. Our fields will open up at 5:15 at the minimum, hopefully more like 5 every weekday. And then practices will start at 5:30. So they're not open outside of the practice times, but as teams are practicing from 5:30 to 7:30, there is a little bit of space on the side field for those who want to come in and kick it around, but the fields in general are locked during the day. So we actually are able to keep a lot of our games on site this year. I'm really excited. Our 8 to 9-year-old boys and our 10 to 11-year-old boys are playing on site this year. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough girls teams in the 8 to 9s and 10 to 11s to keep them completely on site. But they'll still have a good amount of, I think, 4 games on site. We really go for no more than 50% of our games off site. It just depends on how many teams we have. The more teams we have, the more games we can keep on site. The fewer teams we have, the more we have to play off site. But we do shoot for no more than 50% of games played off-site. Owens Field is located downtown by the JB Owens Airport, or Jim Hamilton Airport, sorry. It's on Rosewood. It's on the south side of town. Yes, so you will get this recording, the rule book, and the Dick's Sporting Goods coupon all sent to Player Space, just like you got the link from Player Space about 2 hours ago. You will get in an email through Player Space. You'll get all of that information. And for my email, if anybody doesn't have it, so hopefully everybody has gotten multiple emails from me at this time, but I'm going to type in the chat real quick. Everybody should have my email. If you're not sure, it should be on the website or it should be on your registration confirmation, or you can also use, there it is in the chat. I believe the practice durations are in Player Space, but all of our practices are 1 hour across the board. Every practice is 1 hour. Every game is roughly 45 minutes to an hour. Obviously, the 3s and the 4 5s do meet for that true hour. So it's 8:45 to 9:45, 10 to 11, 11:15 to 12:15. The 6 to 7 games, 8 to 9-year-old games, typically last about 45 minutes ish. Monica, if you can just shoot me an email, like I said, it's hard for me to do things individually, but I'm happy if you'll send me an email with the information that you need, the player's name and your email, and I can check those accounts and make sure we get you up and running, not a problem. Ben, that's a good question. So I wouldn't say it floods often anymore. We have put some work into it. It does, like with any field, if you have a significant amount of rain, it will be wet, and we will protect our fields and close them when it is really wet. We haven't had them flood out in a while, but they will get to the point where they're very saturated. And to protect them, we will close them for practices so that they don't get, as cleats hit a super saturated field, obviously it tears that field up, and then it puts us in a position where we might lose that field or lose a significant portion of that field. So we are protective of the field, but no, we really have not had an issue with it flooding in the last, I'd say, year. So any practices so games are guaranteed reschedule. We guarantee 8 games, and we reschedule those games if we have to. And so we would play those during the weeknights or on a different Saturday. But we guarantee the 8 games. We don't guarantee practices. If we do have a week where we are hit hard with rain, we've had some weeks where every night rains out. And so we can't guarantee, we just don't have the space or the ability to guarantee makeups of practices. We do work with coaches. So if there's one day that gets rained out and they would like to come back and use a side field during a different night, we do try to work with coaches so that they can get on the field if we do have a rain out. Typically during a season, it balances out and every team has, one rain out, one night that just rains out. If we have a night where it's consistent rain out, we had that happen one year where it felt like every single Wednesday night was rained out. Then we really try hard to get those teams onto another site or another portion of the field to allow them to practice. But games are a guaranteed reschedule. If we cancel games due to weather, we reschedule those on a weeknight or on a different Saturday. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick around for a couple more minutes. Seems like the questions have kind of slowed down. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I will stick around for a couple more minutes and answer any that come in. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for coming out and spending the last 30 minutes with us. Like I said, this recording, the coupon, and the rule book will get sent to your player space. And I really look forward to seeing y'all this fall season. And we'll see y'all out on the field. I'll send it via player space. It'll be so I've got a volleyball parents meeting after this one, so it'll be probably later tonight when I can get these recordings done, edited, and then put on YouTube. Then we'll see what. It'll be late tonight or early tomorrow that we'll send these out. If it reads coaching, then states the age and a coach. So if it has a coach's name in their team name, like 8 to 10s, coach, let's just take, for example, 10 to 11s, coach Brevard Mays, but then it says coach needed. If it says a name of a coach in the team name, that's the coach. In player space, you should see a schedule button. So if you go to the app, it'll say schedule. If you are on the desktop, it'll say schedule. And so you would just click the schedule button and it's going to show you everything that you have scheduled for that player. The app, I think, if you use the app, I believe the schedule button is like a calendar button. It looks like a calendar on it. It's green, I believe. If you use the desktop app and go through the desktop, then when you go in, you'll see across that bar where it says schedule, and you just click on that button. And again, if you have any specific questions about your players, please, feel free to shoot me an email. It's a lot easier for me to look into your specific player and that specific issue when I have all the information in an email. I can look at it. I'm happy to do that. Feel free to shoot me an email anytime. All right, I'm going to wait 60 more seconds. If I don't get another question, we will end the meeting. So no, if you're in the volleyball meeting, it's a different link. So this meeting will actually end. close out, and then it will be a different meeting that starts up for volleyball. So you'll have to use that separate link. If I can add additional adults in place, I believe so, and I need to actually get a better idea of how to do this because this was just shown to me. But I believe if you go to your home page, and you have to do it on a desktop, to my knowledge, you cannot do it in the app. But if you log into your player space on the computer and you go to your home screen, it should have a button that says add a fan. And then if you add a fan, you can add additional parents that will also get, or additional adults that will also get emails. I'm 90% sure that is the correct. I'm just now finding out about this, so that's what was told to me. I know I can carbon copy emails, I can add emails, but all they will get is a copy of an email from me of any messages that are sent out to that player. They won't have access to player space. So if you would like them to have access to player space, you would need to add them as a fan. All right, last call. Go about 20 more seconds if there's no other questions. Again, if you didn't get your question in, or if you didn't feel like typing your question and putting it out there, you have my email. Please shoot me an email. Happy to help. Let me know whatever we can do. Or if you want to stop by my office, I'm in my office most days, and I'll be around on the practice fields next week. I'll be in the volleyball gym, so please come find me. I'm happy to help and get you set up with whatever you need. But seeing no other questions, I am going to officially end the meeting. I appreciate everybody coming, and y'all have a great rest of the night.